Hi, I'm Margie Holmes, psychologist, author, and educator. This week's topic is about the raging issue involving Filipino music icon Freddie Aguilar and his relationship with a 16-year-old girl. Here's May Magsino articulating what most of us felt when we first heard the news. May says, "The first reaction was shock, as if I wasn't ready to accept the truth about the musician whose music has been a part of my childhood. And then I looked again at their photos, and they seem happy. He's not perfect. So who am I to judge him when I, myself, am not perfect either? And who could blame the girl? If I were her age and had a chance to be with him, I'd go straight into his arms. She's 16, and she's in love. She's not abused, but rather treated like a queen. Unfortunately, she's already got thousands of haters. Freddie is getting that big share of haters too, something he doesn't deserve from anybody. Now, some accused him of pedophilia, but you know, in truth, the DSM-5 and the ICD-10, which is considered the Bible of mental disorders for psychologists and psychiatrists everywhere in the world, by everywhere meaning even people in Africa, the Middle East, psychologists and psychiatrists in these places, certainly America, all of Europe, or most of Europe, and also in the Philippines. Our of a pedophile is someone who has a psychiatric disorder and whose primary or sole sexual interest is towards prepubescent children or pubescent children, which means they are 13 years old or younger. Okay? So he's accused of pedophilia, which he isn't. Now, others accused him of being a criminal. But listen to these two. Sunny Avila, who is a brilliant lawyer from UP, of course, I'm biased, forgive me, and what he says is, before the family law became effective in 1988, the minimum age for marriage under the new Civil Code of the Philippines was 16 for men and 14 for women. Thus, before 1988, it was perfectly legal for Freddie to marry his 16-year-old girlfriend. And if you'll think about it, a lot of our grandparents married at 16 or 14 and raised families which were very secure, families of 10, 12, or hopefully they practiced birth control, so even 8 or 3. Now, it was not unusual then, okay, before 1988. Reflecting the times, no one would have thought that the relationship was distasteful. This sense of distaste, I think, according to Attorney Avila, is merely an adjustment to the, in quotes, legal fiction. And that is when the law determines something is proper or not, which is established mainly by the lawmakers, and the culture just follows, adjusting to what the law ordains is right. Lee Soriano, it looks irregular, but it's not a first. Maybe it's something that is considered a first here in the city, but in the provinces, it still happens. My take is just because he's Freddie Aguilar, he's fair game. Unless, of course, if he were simply and plain old Mang Freddie. At this point, the full story hasn't really come out, and I'd like to hear about it. And you know, Lee has a point, because I can't help asking, could this sense of outrage be because many of us are not only familiar, but love his song Anak, and therefore we have put him on a pedestal, and now we feel betrayed? Raul J. De Vera, one thing Freddie is forgetting, he is a public figure, which he admitted himself, moron. And Mr. Freddie Aguilar, if you're listening, I'm merely quoting Raul J. De Vera, okay? I do not feel this myself. But because he is a public figure who should behave in a way that should be mindful of what he acts in public, as he is conceived as a role model to many, shouldn't that be Freddie's case? Okay, some of you may agree with this, some of you may not, okay? About being a public figure, and therefore you should be a role model. Someone who comes to mind is a basketball player, Sir Charles Bradley, who said that just because I'm a celebrity, I shouldn't be looked at as a role model, because you know it's such a burden to carry. But anyway, as I say, many people believe this. Now, there were also so many references to his iconic song Anak, MJ Manuel, nang isilang ka sa mundong ito, kaedad mo lang ang magulang ko. But Geronimo Constantino counters, actually, it should be nang isilang ka sa mundong ito, kasing edad mo ang magulang ng magulang ko. Okay? At Titi Lai says, because it is more than a decade gap, therefore, we cannot look at it as simply a May-December relationship. It is like a February-December affair. F.I. Obayo, I want to accept the part that they love each other, pero nangdidiri ako. Some of you said, just let the couple be. Jaikilo Tagsilo, it's their lives. Freddie can still sing even if he marries that girl. And the Philippines would still be a third world country with corrupt politicians. It doesn't make a difference then. But with the new ombudsman and the new COA head, hopefully it will make a difference in the future, okay? P, she says, I have nothing against it. They both claimed it is love and she is capable of sharing and giving it. And there is a receiver anyway. Just because he is Freddie, who are we to cast stones? We fall in love with our pets. Sa tao pa, hindi kaya pwede? Bert Kibuyan, it is none of our business. Relationships like these happen all the time. And in the case of Freddie Aguilar, even the girl's parents are okay with it. So what's the big fuss? But Alexandra Carmona replies, it is a social issue, Bert. When we look deeply at troubling issues, we can clarify things and also, hopefully, potentially help potential victims of abuse. So it is our business, and we have a right to look at that dysfunctional old man and think about what is going on in his relationship with a juvenile female where the balance of power and life experience is so grossly tilted in his favor. Excuse me a moment. So what I say later will be clearer because my throat is not so parched. And, you know, it is really important to hear what the following people have to say. Psychologist Mitch Ong says, it bothers me that because Freddie Aguilar calls upon love, it is supposed to justify such a relationship. Those of us who are uncomfortable with it are therefore considered anti-love or ageists, and leaves him free to avoid explaining why he is engaged in a romantic sexual relationship with a girl and why he has once before been in a relationship with someone of a similar age. Good point, Mitch. Marian Santos Hernandez, sorry Marian, says, it's improper. He is robbing her of a normal life. At Frank Stupid One asks, does a 16-year-old have emotional maturity enough to deal in a serious relationship? Sanda says Dorio, to those saying it is okay for a 16-year-old to have a relationship with an adult male, never mind that he is Freddie Aguilar, never mind that they claim to love each other and that their parents have given their consent, I am sure you would be singing a different tune and screaming statutory rape if she were your 16-year-old daughter. Alessandra Gae, to each his own, but it's your moral social obligation to make sure that minors aren't taken advantage of. Well, that's it for today. Jump in the discussion below. Next week, we'll continue our discussion of May-December relationships. So send in your questions, comments, and also suggestions for future episodes to me on Facebook, tweet using the hashtag AskMargie, or send an email to askmargie@rappler.com. See you next week.